Another year, another hurricane season. The most important thing you're going to hear today is it's your responsibility to get prepared. Everybody up here cares about your safety. Everybody up here will do everything they can to keep you safe, but it's really up to you. So first off, I just want to thank the Coast Guard for hosting us here today, Commander McCarthy. I've got a Coast team in my office. I've been up in the Senate 6 years. I'm on my third Coast team. They do a great job. A lot of people have no idea what Coast Guard does and how difficult their job is, and they do a great job. By the way, they have the best duty stations, way better than my time in the service, where they get, like my first one, when she finished, she went to Key West, and when Eric leaves, the one I have now, he's going to Honolulu. Pretty good deal. So I want to thank everybody here, the Tampa Bay area. You have great elected. You have people from the sheriff's offices and Pinellas and Hillsborough to emergency management to police departments. They all do a great job. Fire departments, they are here working hard to make sure you're safe. Again, the responsibility is yours. We got Commissioner Brian Scott here. We've got our state senator here. Nick, thanks for being here. I think Bernie Jackson is coming. I don't see Bernie yet. Oh, you're here. State Representative Donnie Alvarez, I don't think was able to make it. Mayor Bruce Rector, Mayor Sandra Bradbury. From the Sheriff's Office, we got Lieutenant Congras, Paul Anderson from the ports here, Mike Brown from the American Red Cross, Sarah Brannell and from Tampa TPA, and Mark Sprague from PI. Then we've got some individuals from Gus Billarox's office, Anna Paulina Luna's office, and from Ashley Moody. So here's the key today. Think about your life. You can rebuild houses, you can rebuild businesses, you can't rebuild a life. We've all gone through, we've all watched, we watched what happened with the hurricanes we've had hit the West Coast, whether Ian hit south of us or Helene or Milton, and we lost people. We lost people because of water. Generally, we don't lose people today in Florida other than our manufactured housing because of wind. We lose people because of water. We lose people because of storm surge. We lose people because of flooding. So you can get yourself in a safe place. You can listen to the locals. They're going to tell you if you're in an evacuation zone, even if you think there's a chance you're going to have to evacuate, evacuate. Go visit family, go visit friends. There will be shelters open. They're safe. They're staffed by wonderful people, but you got to get yourself out of harm's way. I think with Ian, 151 people lost their lives. We lost people in all these storms. It shouldn't happen. We shouldn't lose a life. It's not like a tornado that happens like that. These hurricanes, we know they're going to hit. We don't know exactly what we're going to hit. We don't know exactly what the wind's going to be. We don't know exactly what the storm surge is going to be. But we know they're going to hit, so you got to do it. So you've got to get prepared. You got to get prepared now. Water, food, documents, medicine, plans of where to go. All these things you've got to get ready now. During the storm, when the wind's up, the water's up, nobody can help you. Our first responders can't come out and take care of you at that time. It's too late. They've got to wait till the storm passes, and you might not survive that. So you've got to get yourself out of harm's way and do it as quickly as you can. So we have great emergency management teams, great police, sheriff's department, fire and rescue all across the state. Down where I live in Southwest Florida. Ian was horrible, but every part of the state's been hit by hurricanes in the last 20 or 30 years. I was in Miami earlier today. Andrew hit in 92. I was in the hospital business at that point. I had 500 people without homes. So we know these things have the chance of happening. They said we're going to have an active hurricane season. Water's already warming up, which means logically we're going to have an active hurricane season. So get ready. So now let me turn it over to our host here today, the commander of this Coast Guard facility, Commander Dave McCarthy.
Thank you, Senator, and everyone for being here. I really appreciate it. On behalf of the U.S. Coast Guard and Air Station Clearwater, I want to urge you to be prepared this season, this hurricane season. The Coast Guard's motto is Semper Paratus, which is always ready. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, we're ready. We're ready to help mariners and Americans in distress. As a longtime search and rescue helicopter pilot, I can tell you sometimes the difference between life and death is those that are being prepared. And it is how prepared you are that makes a difference. So this year I want you to commit to yourself to your family, to your friends, to be prepared and be ready for that next storm. Because the Coast Guard, we're going to be ready, and I hope that you are as well. Now, a couple of things that I did want to make sure to pass are with drawbridges. Please understand that all the drawbridges will be locked down whenever hurricane wind forces, whenever sustained winds reach about 39 miles per hour, we're going to shut down the bridges. So make sure that if you are a boater that you do not transit outside of that window. That is also conditioned whiskey as well. Please check the NAVCEN website for more information, which used to be Homeport, but now it's shifting to NAVCEN for any information on the port information. And then finally, I just want to reemphasize that the Coast Guard, we will be ready for any sort of rescue operations, but of course, it will have to be after the storm passage when it is safe for all of the first responders. Thank you, Senator.
So can you talk about if somebody's in harm's way, can you put a helicopter up in 50-mile-an-hour wind?
There are times when that could occur, but for the most part, we need to wait until it is safe for our crews to go out to do the rescue operations. So while it may be possible, and I have been in situations in storms above 50 miles an hour, 50 knots, to conduct operations, it's not typical, and it first and foremost has to be safe for our first responders to go out and actually conduct the operations.
So get out of harm's way.
Get out of harm's way, absolutely.
So and then once the storm passes, you'll do everything you can to get the drawbridges down, you get the ports open, everything you can. But you can't do it until it passes.
That's right. We can't do it until the storm passes and it's safe for our folks, safe for our first responders to get out to actually do the operations.
So if somebody stays in harm's way, you put your people at risk.
We will only in certain situations put our folks at risk, but that's based on the individual cases. But for the most part, we need to have our folks safe before we go conduct operations.
All right, thank you.
So thanks so much.
Thanks a lot. And thanks for hosting us.
Yes, sir.
Support the Coast Guard. Next, we're going to hear from Commissioner Brian Scott.
Thank you, Senator, for having this event today, and I want to thank the Coast Guard for hosting us. So last year was unprecedented in Pinellas County history. I've lived here 43 years, and I'd never seen anything like it. We were hit by 3 different storms. Hurricane Debbie, which came in August and dropped 12 inches of rain. And then we had Hurricane Helene in September that brought 7.8 feet of storm surge. And then finally, the final blow was Hurricane Milton with 120-mile-an-hour winds and 20 inches of rain. So it is up to all of us to be prepared. And there's 3 very, very simple things that you can do to protect yourself and your family. Number 1, get a copy of our 2025 Hurricane Guide to help you prepare and know your evacuation zone. It's really, really important, particularly if you're in evacuation A, B, or C zone. When you get that alert to go, you really, really need to go. Make time to look at your home and business to assess your risk for wind, excessive rain, and also for storm surge, and make a plan for where you're going to go. And evacuation doesn't mean that you have to go to Georgia or South Carolina. You can just go to high ground. I mean, the rule is you want to run from water and hide from wind. So just get to a secure structure. Last year I evacuated to Clearwater. My wife and I live on the Intercoastal, and we got flooded during Helene. We saw Milton coming, so we went to Clearwater. We got to high ground, and we were just fine. We were able to return the very next day. But be sure to include all the essential items for all of your family members, including your pets, because we all love our pets. The Pinellas County death toll from Hurricane Helene was 12, and that was from drowning, for people who got trapped in their homes when the water came in because they didn't leave and there was nobody there to come to their rescue. So this is very, very, very serious stuff. A home can be rebuilt, as the Senator said. Lives cannot be. Get up-to-date notifications by signing up for Alert Pinellas or download the Ready Pinellas app on your phone. If your loved one needs assistance with transportation or you have special needs, medical assistance, you can sign up with our special needs registry. Hurricane season is only a week away. None of us want to go through this again. We've heard that was a 100-year event last year, a 200-year event, a 500-year event. Hopefully it doesn't happen for another 500 years, but the reality is it could happen again this year, so we absolutely need to be prepared. And you can get more information on how to prepare at disaster.pinellas.gov. So thank you all for being here today, and now I want to introduce my good friend, State Senator Nick Sigler.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Senator Scott. Thank you to the Coast Guard for sponsoring this, hosting us here today. All the obvious things are already said. This is life and death. Unfortunately, here in Pinellas County, like the Commissioner said, there were a dozen people who drowned in Pinellas County, lost their lives. And we just need to heed and listen to our local officials when the time is right. Sometimes these storms can be up, right on our coastline, and evacuation orders start in 24 hours, 48 hours. You don't have a lot of time. So now is the time to prepare. Now is the time to put that plan into place, because it is life-threatening. And I think that, unfortunately, with Helene and with Milton in 2024, I think a lot of our Pinellas County residents are not going to hesitate to evacuate. But there are also a lot of folks who have moved here. We want to make sure that they're listening to their local officials, because again, you can replace property, you can replace vehicles, but you cannot replace a life. And I think that's why this press conference is so important. I want to thank Senator Scott for putting this on once again. Thank you so much.
All right, now we're going to hear from State Representative Bernie Jacks.
Thank you, Senator Scott, for your leadership, not only now, but throughout your career in public service. I recall your time as governor. Whenever you would put on that Navy cap, we knew you meant business. And it was always reassuring to know that you were at the helm during disasters. And so we appreciate your continued leadership on this particular issue, a very important issue. And I also want to thank our Coast Guard as well, and all of our first responders that do the work day in and day out. And certainly they rise to the occasion when we need them the most. These are the folks that run towards danger when we're being asked to run away from it. So I'd be remiss if I did not acknowledge them. Listen, folks, it's right around the corner. Hurricane season is coming, and it's not too early to prepare. There's a lot of things you can do. I'll share a few things that you can do to prepare now, and then make sure to implement it. So number one, make sure you have an emergency kit that can contain a number of things, like important documents, important medicine that you might need, batteries, can openers, those type of things that you're going to need at ready reach when stuff hits the fan. You will also need to make sure that you review your policies, your insurance policies, to make sure that they're up to date, to make sure that you have everything that you need in the event of being impacted negatively by the storm. It's important to know when it comes to flood insurance, a national flood insurance policy won't take effect until after 30 days when you purchase it, right? So it can't just be when you see the storm coming and then you go online and you make a purchase. Start doing it now so it can come into effect and so it can protect you and make you whole when you need it. I will also stress to really heed to the cautions of the local authorities, the evacuation orders. You do not want to be like some of the people that I met in the aftermath of these storms that we just had. You do not want to be like that elderly lady that I spoke to in St. Pete Beach when my team and I were doing hurricane cleanup, and we're removing valuable things out of her home that are now damaged because they've been flooded, both monetary valuable items and both sentimental valuable items. And she was explaining to me that her and her elderly husband, they stayed. They did not heed to the cautions. But they found themselves standing on a kitchen table as the water was rising, and they're holding their small dog while this is happening. And the water is right up to their feet while they're standing on the kitchen table. This is a harrowing experience that you do not want to experience. And you could tell, and I know they regretted staying, and they were lucky that they made it out with their lives. Some of our neighbors were not so lucky. So please, please, please heed to the cautions. And finally, I'll reiterate something that Commissioner Scott mentioned, Alert Pinellas. Sign up for that service. You can get it through an app, and you can get it through pinellas.gov, and you get text notifications that tells you when your evacuation zone is being told to evacuate. You will know what your evacuation zone is. You will be told the paths of the storm, and you will get it in real time when the authorities have it. So please, please, please be prepared and make it out alive. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bernie. Now we're going to hear from Pinellas County Sheriff's Office.
And
Thank you, Senator Scott, for your continued support, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. As we approach the upcoming hurricane season, it's important to reflect on the challenges we faced last year. For many years, the Tampa Bay area was fortunate to avoid significant storm impact. Unfortunately, last season, with 3 back-to-back storms, it proved very different. We experienced unprecedented flooding, widespread damage, particularly on our barrier islands, areas where recovery efforts still continue today. We want to remind all residents to prepare early in the season. Do not wait until the last minute. Stock up now on essential supplies. This includes 7 days' supply of water and a full week's supply of non-perishable food. Waiting until the last minute can mean encountering empty store shelves and fuel shortages at gas stations. Equally important is having a personal emergency plan. Know your evacuation zone and the location of the nearby shelters. Our county offers a variety of shelter options, including those for individuals with special needs, pet-friendly facilities. Make a plan for yourself, your family, and your pets well in advance. When the mandatory evacuation is ordered, take it seriously. Choosing to stay behind puts not only your life at risk, but also the lives of loved ones and first responders. During Hurricane Helene, at the peak of the storm, we received hundreds of 911 calls from residents that were trapped in flooding conditions. And these calls came in well after a mandatory evacuation was ordered. As you return home following a storm, please exercise extreme caution, be alert for debris and fallen trees, as these may conceal down power lines. And always remember, just treat down power lines as if they're energized. Avoid driving through flooded roadways, as even shallow water can disable vehicles and can pose serious risk to your safety. And obviously, that what comes with power outages and storm damage, a lot of traffic signals tend to go out. So just remember, when you approach these intersections where the signal is out, treat them as a 4-way stop. Let's learn from the past to mitigate the impacts we may face tomorrow. Be informed, be prepared, and most importantly, take action early. Know that our deputies, along with our law enforcement and fire and EMS partners, are fully prepared to assist before, during, and after the storm. But your safety begins with the decisions and preparations you make today. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're going to hear from the CEO of Port Tampa Bay, Paul Anderson.
Thank you, Senator Scott, for your leadership on this hurricane planning, both when you were governor and now as senator. Port Tampa Bay's, on behalf of our port, all of our team, and the thousands of men and women who work in the port, our number one role is to have a good plan for the hurricane season. I want to urge everybody to have their own plan, keeping in mind that we've been doing a hurricane exercise for 13 years. Last week we had that exercise. The hurricanes have never gone according to what the plan is, so be ready to change your plan if you do have a plan. Be flexible. We are responsible for the distribution of fuel to over 12 million Florida residents and the tens of millions of visitors that are in our state at any given time. Our number one focus during hurricane is preparing the port for a hurricane. This past year, through 2 hurricanes and 12 days at us, we experienced historic flooding, both from surge and then 10 days later from rain. Damaged the 6 fuel facilities that we utilize to serve the population here in Florida. We learned from those plans that we had that damaged those facilities. We now have a hurricane-hardened site that we are sharing with the United States, our partners, the United States Coast Guard, the Army Corps of Engineers, those oil companies where they store some of their boats, their recovery materials, critical equipment. And we have increased the capacity of that. Our plan encompasses a wide range of events, but I want to urge everybody here to make sure you have your own plan. Senator, we are prepared to work with all of our emergency responders that are represented here today, our state legislators, our federal, and all of the Coast Guard that is so critical to the recovery from storms. Another role we play is getting cargo, construction materials back in to damaged areas after a hurricane. We have thousands of men and women that work to that goal, and we are prepared for this year's hurricane. Again, I want to urge everybody to have their own plan and be ready for this year's hurricane season. Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to hear from Mike Brown with the American Red Cross. So the way when I was governor, like Irma was our biggest storm, we had 700 shelters open. The National Guard was very instrumental in opening them up, but after a while, the American Red Cross took over. They do a great job. So now we're going to hear. Where's Mike? Yep. They do a great job.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Senator. Thanks, everybody, for coming out for the press conference to help our community. Like Senator Scott said, there's a lot of work to do after a hurricane. But first of all, we're going to talk about preparedness. You can go to redcross.org and look, and there's a whole long laundry list of things you need in your household to stick it out with the powers out. But also, I'd like to echo everybody in saying the importance of evacuation. And the commissioner mentioned an evacuation plan. It's critical to have that plan ahead of time. But if you find yourself and the water's coming in and you don't have a plan, just evacuate anyway. Last year, the Red Cross, we had over 300 people just here in Pinellas County in shelters, feeding them and sheltering them for 7 weeks. And I met probably the majority of those folks during the survivors during that relief operation. And believe me, if you had talked to those folks, you would definitely evacuate. So again, take heed to what's being said here today. You can also go to redcross.org to find out how to volunteer for the Red Cross or how to support the Red Cross. But I'd like to thank the Coast Guard, all the elected officials today for having this conference and having me out here. Thank you.
The Red Cross can always they always appreciate more volunteers. We get volunteers from all over the country to come help. Now we're going to hear from Sarah Brummel, Director of Airport Operations at Tampa.
Thank you, Senator Scott, and thank you for hosting us here today. Tampa International Airport is storm ready, and we work with NOAA and the National Wildlife Service to make sure that we have that dedicated staff on hand. We're prepared during blue skies so that we're ready during gray skies. So what we do is we plan all year and work on resiliency projects to make our airport stronger and to make us an airport that can return to operations as soon as possible, as soon as it's safe. So we have folks like storm riders, dedicated staff members and partners with the TSA and the FAA that actually stay on site during the storm so that afterwards we can quickly do our damage assessment and also resume operations. One of the things that we work with closely with the community is letting them know when we are going to cease operations at the airport. One of the key factors in that is wind. Sustained winds over 40 miles an hour really start to have some of those limitations on what we can do with our automated people movers and also with our aircraft. So we work closely to make sure that everyone knows we need to button up that facility. It takes about 24 hours to button up the facility. We have 60 boarding bridges to tie down. We have over 600 sandbags to deploy, and we have everyone to tuck in and get safe and ready for that hurricane to hit. And afterwards, again, we get that damage assessment out there, and then we recover as quickly as possible, not just for commercial operations, but also because we're critical aviation infrastructure for emergency response when needed. So again, the moral is we plan during blue skies so that we're ready during gray skies. So thank you for having us.
Now we're going to hear from Mayor Sandra Bradbury.
I want to urge our citizens from one end of the county to the other, the whole Tampa Bay area, to take heed in getting that checklist ready, either from the county or from Red Cross. And also, please do not forget your pets. A lot of times those are not on the list. Making sure you have plenty of water and food for them as well. Start taking care of your yards in advance, picking up debris, going ahead and trimming some of those dead limbs off of the trees, and just picking up things in your yard in advance. You can put them back out after the summer's over with. And I just want to personally thank Senator Scott, who at the time was governor when I first became mayor. He had a call-in every single day ahead of the storms that were coming in, and then afterwards, to make sure that the cities got what they needed, make sure we had what we needed before the storms came in. And as senator, he's doing the same thing. So thank you. Appreciate it.
My goal is to keep everybody alive. Nobody pass away during a storm. That's the goal with all of these. You can rebuild all this stuff, don't want anybody die. Now we're going to hear from Mayor Bruce Rector.
Thank you, Senator. I want to thank the Senator as well. When we had my first hurricane season last year, it was the Senator calling me. I wasn't calling the Senator. He called me repeatedly and offered his help, his staff's help in navigating not just during the hurricanes, preparing for the hurricanes, but in the recovery process. And thank you, Senator, for all you've done last season. I know here in Clearwater we have a friend in Senator Scott we can count on during tough times. I just came, literally just came from a press conference for Tampa Bay Thrives. It's a regional effort to combat isolation and depression. And I shared with that group here just a few minutes ago how vulnerable our elderly population is during hurricanes. And so when we think about hurricane preparation, everyone in Tampa Bay should have an evacuation plan. And an evacuation plan is not, I'm going to go if they make me go. An evacuation plan is, where am I going to go and how am I going to get there? And where can I stay for a period of time till I'm allowed to get back in my home? For many of us, that's easy because we know we have family support around, we have folks around to support us in making that plan. But too many, in Pinellas County in particular, are our elderly population who are isolated from not just family members, but their community, and they don't have the resources to make a plan, and they don't have anyone they trust to have an evacuation plan. So when we go knock on their door and we ask them to leave 2 days before the hurricane gets there, there's not the trust level there needs to be to help get them to a safe place. So I'm asking all the folks in Clearwater and throughout Tampa Bay to find that elderly person in your neighborhood, in your city, maybe they're involved in your church, but those are the folks we need to help right now with making an evacuation plan to keep them safe if another storm comes our way. Only by reaching out to them now, building that trust, maybe offering a safe place for them to go that in their minds is better than a shelter, that's the way we can prepare properly everyone throughout Tampa Bay for hurricane season and to make sure that we get through another hurricane season without losing life. Thank you, Senator Scott, for organizing this today and bringing this group together to talk about this important issue.
Thank you, Mayor. Everybody here is going to do their best to take care of you, but you've got to take care of yourself to start with. Everybody's got to have a plan and be careful. So I think that's everybody's message. So I have a short message in Spanish. La temporada de huracanes comienza pronto, lo que significa que las familias deben aprovechar todas las oportunidades para hacer un plan y prepararse. Puede encontrar los recursos y la información sobre cómo crear un plan de emergencia en www.ready.gov. En caso de una tormenta, manténgase atento a las noticias y siga las instrucciones de los oficiales de seguridad y de gestión de emergencias. Yo tengo 9 oficinas para ayudar a los floridanos todos los días durante una tormenta. Si necesita ayuda con FEMA, espera cualquier agencia federal, puede contactar mis oficinas en el estado o visitar mi sitio web rickscott.senate.gov para más información. Como siempre, digo, puedes reconstruir tu casa, pero no reconstruir tu vida. So, I think, are we going to do questions here, or are we going to just do it up there? You going to do it up there? Anybody wants to come answer any questions?